Hey everyone, this is Saurabh Moda and once welcome you all in Lingual Capital. So dear friends, today I am here with a very special topic of linguistics, especially from the neuro-linguistics. I hope this is my third, fourth lecture on neurolinguistics. But here, whatever am I gonna to discuss about the neurolinguistics, this is all different from all the phenomena. Means here I will discuss with all those technology which helps much more in finding the strokes or injuries in our brain. Before this lecture, we had a discussion about the brain. We had a discussion about the aphasia. Whatever the cases that are, that happen in the stroke or injuries, we all have been discussed in the previous lectures. So one request to all of you that if you haven't watched my previous lecture, whatever have I provided, please go through the link or just search on YouTube the Lingual Capital, where you will find a lot of lectures regarding linguistics and especially from the neurolinguistics and other part of the linguistics. So here I am going to discuss with a very special topic, that is BIT, which is known to be the brain imaging technology. So here in this case, this is the short name of brain imaging technology. I hope this lecture will help you much more and it will assist much more to you when you have a case of any kind of the aphasia, any kind of the strokes. You know what? There are so many kind of the aphasia, and some of them we already have studied. Some of them we will discuss by today. And as we all know that when we have a stroke in our mind, our brain, especially from the either that is about the left hemisphere or that is about the right hemisphere, then we lost something. This is not that if you have a stroke in your Broca's area or in your Wernicke's area, or any of the area, any of the regions in your brain, then you have some or any kind of the problem. This may be in reading, this may be in writing, this may be in production of the speech, or this may be in any kind of the perceptions, or it may be that you can lose your thinking level. Maybe you can lose your syllables, maybe you can lose your vowel sounds, consonant sounds. You may lose that what you want to speak, but you cannot speak. There are some such a cases here that happens with us. With every one of us. That if you go there, go to any places, you want to speak something, but you cannot speak. Yeah, you want to speak, but you don't speak. So you think that maybe this is the case, or maybe I have forgotten, but this is not a thing. This is the kind of the aphasia that is present or that have you, that you want to speak but you don't speak. Sometimes this happens with us that we just think that we have written something in our examination, but when we see the paper, then there is written something different. So this is also a kind of the aphasia to us, but we just make it simple. We just think that this is nothing, only this is our misconception, or it's a misapprehending that this happens with every one of us. But this is not possible, this is not true. The true is that you have the some cases in your brain. This is the also a kind of the cases that when you go to any of the places but you forget that what have you to do or for what you go there. You think that my mind was something, was thinking something different, or I had some issues in my army. I have some pressures that is why I forgot it. But this is not. This is also kind of the fascia that happens with every one of us. So when you will study about the fascia, there is dysrhythmia, dyspraxia, agnosia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, dementia. Also, we have the case of the stuttering. Stuttering in the sense means a person who speak in a stammering case. Already we have studied about all those phenomena. So, I am talking about the brain imaging technology, which helps much more in finding about all those cases that happens to us during the strokes or any of the injuries. Sometimes there are also some of the cases that happens with all of us when you go to or when you are riding any of the any bike or any two-wheeler, four-wheeler. Either you are riding or traveling, no matters. But when you got an accident, and due to that accident, you lost something of your brain. Lost something, it means you not don't lost your brain. Still, you lost in the thinking, in the perception, and you just give it a name that the person has gone into a coma. We just give a name that is that person has gone to coma. He cannot speak something, he cannot identify to us. We generally give a name that this is the case of the coma. But this is not true. True is that if there is a stroke in your left hemisphere, then your ability to speak will be lost permanently. Means if you have a deep injury in your left hemisphere of the brain, then you will lost completely your speech, your ability to identify. If you have strokes in the right hemisphere, then there is also some of the cases that whatever the certain words that comes in your mind, you will forget. You will lose also that case. In that cases. So there are so many of the cases when you will discuss, when you will study in physiology, then you will get everything that what happens when any of the location of our brain is damaged or injuries, then we lost something. So in this lecture we will talk about the BIT, which is known as the Brain Information Technology. When we got injury, we go to the hospital, and in the hospital, at first the doctor will prescribe to CT scan. There is a CT scan, PET, MRI, fMRI, SPCT, and one of some of the more which is also we can say that you have to do. They will give you the prescribe. They will prescribe you that you have to do such a kind of the corrections. Okay. So when at first we will talk about the CT. Uh, Actually, when we talk about the scan, CT scan, its full name is computer tomography. What happens to computer tomography? In computer tomography scan, the CT provides, computer tomography scan provides the three-dimensional picture of a skull, or we can say of our brain. This provides the three-dimensional picture of our brain. This is the first step that the doctor prescribe for such the treatments that you have to do that. After that, I will just exemplify or identify that what have I to do or what the problems in over there. Next, the treatment that the doctor prescribes is all about the PET. PET. One more important thing is that the full name of CT is computer tomography. Computer tomography. Must remember that sometimes this question may also be asked to you that what is the full form of the CT scan, what is the full form of PET, what is the full form of MRI, fMRI. So there are the three to four or five of the treatments that the doctor prescribes. So here the CT scan means this is the computer tomography. In computer tomography, what happens that the computer tomography, it provides the three-dimensional picture of a skull so that the doctors easily find that is there any stroke in our brain or not, or if there is a stroke in our brain, then in which part, in which lesions, in which location of our brain that is, that is happen. Next we have the PET scan. The full form of PET scan is that positron emission tomography. Positron emission tomography. The positron emission tomography, what happens in this case? In positron emission tomography, a patient, before the treatment, a patient is given to the safe dose of radioactive tracer compound. What happens in the PET case that a patient, if there is a patient, how can we find that there is a lesions in this part, there is a lesions in this part, there is lesions or not? So to find, to detect about the cases, the patient is given to the safe dose of radioactive tracer compound to the patient. Must remember, in PET test, the patient is given to the safe dose of radioactive tracer compound. What happens here? In radio, when a patient is given to the safe dose of radioactive compound, and in the form of safe dose of the radioactive compound, a patient is given to the FDG. FDG. FDG is given to the patient before the treatment of the PET scan. What is FDG? Its full name is fluorodeoxy glucose. So what happens here, that when a patient is given to the fluorodeoxyglucose FDG to the patient to measure the activity in the brain, you will realize about this thing, about this idea, that when you have an injury, then at that time, at the same time, you feel that you need something which gives, which can give you the energy or full of the energy. In that case, some of you gives the drink, any such a drink which will provide to you the energy. And what is in FDG, fluorodeoxyglucose, these are the kind of the energy. This is the molecule of the glucose. When a patient is given the FDG, fluorodeoxyglucose, then what happens here, that glucose is a type of the sugar and it is the main source of energy in the brain cells. When the FDG is inhaled or we just take the FDG, then what happens here is that the FDG will enter the blood stream. This will enter, suppose that this is the blood stream, and here the FDG will enter, and after that the blood stream, where through the blood stream, if suppose that this is the brain, and through the, when FDG is given to the patient, and what happens here, that in the FDG enter the blood stream, and after that it travel to the brain. It will travel to the brain. If a particular area of the brain is more active, that I think this is the common thing about all of us, that if you are so thirsty, when you take any of the energy drink, then you will feel so relaxed with your brain. Suppose that when you drink any of the wine, then generally people say that he has been mad because he has taken the wine. Whatever the drink you will take, whatever the material you will take, in case of when your body needs much more energy, when your body needs something, that will control everything. It means when FDG is given to the patient, so through the veins, through the blood stream, the FDG reaches to the brain. And what happens in brain? Which part of our brain is much more active, the more of the energy will be taken through that part. Got up. So what am I saying here? That when FDG is given to the patient through the blood stream, the FDG reaches to the brain. Suppose that this part is much more active, then more of the glucose will be absorbed by this part. If this part is much more active, this will also absorb by this part. This part is much more active, this part also. I mean, through the PET scan, positron emission tomography, a patient, I mean, through this test, a patient, I mean, a doctor finds easily. Actually, there are the case that if your when we'll take the split picture of the X-ray, then what happens in the PET scan? That if your brain's any part is much more active, then there will be the red lines area. There will be so the red lines area. Red lines area means like flood-like structure. I mean, suppose something like this. That this is there in the red. If there is any other part which is not active, then there will be something like this. So the doctors find easily that which part of our brain is much more active and which part of our brain is not active. So the first test that we have is the CT scan, which is known to be the computed tomography, which provides a three-dimensional picture of our brain. And the second one is the PET, positron emission tomography. What happens in PET scans? In PET scans, the doctor easily identify that which part of our brain is much more active, which part of our brain is not active, through the radioactive tracer compound, which is known to be the FDG, fluorodeoxyglucose. The next treatment that the doctor prescribe, that is about the MRI. We have also the MRI test, we have also the SPET-CT test, we have also the fMRI, MRI in the sense magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI functional magnetic resonance imaging. We have some such a test. So next we have the MRI. The same phenomena that happens in the case of the MRI. Here in the case of the MRI, the radioactive tracer compound will be changed. In MRI, must remember the full name of the MRI is magnetic resonance imaging. Magnetic resonance imaging. In this discussion, we will talk about the MRI, and in my another discussion, I will be talking about the fMRI, SPECT. I mean, these are the two treatments or advices that the doctors provide to us, and one of the one of the more we can say that is the advice for the doctors, that is MEG, magnetic encephalography. Also, I mean today we will discuss, and in our another, I mean my another lecture, in my another discussion, I will discuss about all those three. So what happens in the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging? In magnetic resonance imaging, a patient is given to the gadolinium. Patient is given to the gadolinium. It provides the three-dimensional anatomical picture of the brain. Anatomical picture of the brain. So must remember that in what happens in the PET scan. In PET scan, that gives the activeness. I mean, which part of our brain was much more active. That location will be something different, and which part of our brain was much more. Which part not active. That location was something different. But what happens in the MRI case? In a MRI, a patient is given to the gadolinium before the scanning of before the treatment of the patient. A patient is given to the gadolinium, which increases the speed of the protons. It increases the speed of the protons. Okay. So what happens here? The MRI test is based on the sophisticated technology, and it excites and detects the change in the direction of the rotational axis of protons that is found in water that makes up living tissue. When the radioactive current pulsed through the patient, the protons are stimulated and spin out of the equilibrium, straining against the pull of the magnetic field. When a patient is given to the radioactive compound, what happens is, suppose this is the brain, and when a patient is given to the gadolinium, which is the kind of the radioactive compound, what happens in gadolinium means it increases the speed of the protons. So just think about that. Whatever the magnetic field is there in MRI machine, when the gadolinium increases the speed of the proton, wherever there is the case of the injuries, the proton, what happens here is, as much higher will be the speed of the proton, the bright will be the image of the brain. Means, suppose that what happens here, when we irrigate our fields, just think about this is the little example. When there is a drainage and when we irrigate our fields, when we on the tube well, and the tube well just exhales, also we can say throws the water in the drainage. Whatever the speed of the water will be in the drainage, where there will be the space or any of the hole, that water will flow towards that area. It means where the water will flow in that area, we will think that either there is a hole or there is a space to go the water. So in the same cases, what happens here, when a patient is given to the gadolinium, then the radioactive tracer compound gadolinium increases the speed of the protons, and as higher the speed of the protons will be in the brain, the brighter of the image will be of the brain in the treatment or in the cases of the MRI. Okay. So in the brain, this differentiates between the white and the grey matter, and also used in tumors. Especially the MRI cases happens in the case of the tumors. Okay. One more important thing, sometimes this question arises that which of the test does not emit the ionization radiation. So MRI does not emit the ionization radiation. Ionization radiation, it means this does not emit the gamma and X-rays. Okay. So this was enough for today. In our next lecture, we will discuss about the fMRI, SPECT and MEG test. Okay. So thank you. If you have watched all the lectures and if you feel that this is really very helpful, kindly do subscribe and share as much as possible. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much.